Ladies and gentlemen, too many people wait for the perfect opportunity. They wait for the right time, the right resources, or for someone to hand them the success they dream of. But what if that moment never comes? What if success isn't something given, but something earned through intention, purpose, and quiet persistence? This is the problem we're solving today. It's the myth of waiting for success. It's time to stop waiting and start becoming. In the stillness of your thoughts lies a quiet voice, one that reminds you that you are more than your circumstances. So you are not your job title, your past, or your environment. You are the energy of intention, and that energy, when aligned with purpose, becomes unstoppable. Today, we explore a truth that often goes unheard. In a world of shortcuts and instant gratification, success is not given. It is earned. It does not come from the outside in, but from the inside out. Let this be the day you choose to start. The moment you awaken to the realization that no one else is responsible for your success but you, your life begins to change. The world may offer circumstance, obstacles, and even opportunities, but it cannot define the outcome unless you allow it. Too often, people fall into the illusion that their external environment dictates their future. They blame their upbringing, the economies, their lack of connections, or even luck. But this mindset only delays transformation. True success, the kind that resonates with your soul and creates lasting fulfillment, begins when you stop pointing outward and start looking inward. Taking responsibility isn't about guilt or shame. It's not about punishing yourself for where you are in life. It's about claiming your power. It's about recognizing that while you cannot control everything that happens around you, you absolutely have control over your reactions, your decisions, and the direction in which you move. That control is sacred. That control is the root of your freedom. If you believe your success is in someone else's hands, you've already given away your most valuable asset, your power to choose differently. Responsibility is not always glamorous. In fact, it often shows up in the small, silent moments of decision, when you choose discipline over distraction, growth over comfort, intention over impulse. It is not something anyone applauds you for. No one will likely celebrate the fact that you got up early to work on your vision or said no to an opportunity that wasn't aligned with your values. But these moments shape who you become. These are the quiet building blocks of earned success. When you internalize responsibility, something else happens. You stop resenting others for their progress. You no longer waste time comparing your journey to someone else's highlight reel. Instead, you begin to ask better questions. What can I learn from this? What can I do better today? What truth have I been avoiding? This shift from blame to ownership is not just mental. It's energetic. It tells the universe that you are ready. It sends a clear message that you are open to growth, that you are no longer willing to play the role of the victim in your own story. Success rooted in inner responsibility also demands that you release excuses. Every time you say, "I can't because," you are building a case against your own potential. You are convincing yourself of your limitations rather than exploring your possibilities. But the truth is, many of those limits exist only in your thoughts. They are not real barriers. They are conditioned beliefs, inherited fears, and societal whispers that try to convince you to play small. When you take responsibility, you challenge these whispers. You question the assumptions. You ask yourself, is this really true? Or is this just a story I've accepted? This kind of self-inquiry opens doors. It forces you to become honest with yourself, painfully honest at times, but that honesty is liberating. It allows you to see that your life is a mirror, always reflecting back to you the beliefs you hold, the energy you radiate, and the standards you accept. When you raise those standards internally, your external world begins to shift. Not immediately, not always visibly, but undeniably. You begin to attract people, ideas, and resources that match your new frequency. Inner responsibility also fosters resilience. When failure is no longer something to fear, but rather something to learn from, you stop running from challenges. You begin to embrace the discomfort that comes with growth. You recognize that falling short isn't a sign that you're not meant for success. It's a signal that you're in motion. And being in motion, being engaged in your own evolution, is far more powerful than waiting on the sidelines for someone to invite you into the game. Moreover, this level of responsibility demands that you become a guardian of your thoughts. You begin to realize that what you think about yourself matters. If you constantly entertain ideas like, "I'm not good enough," or "it's too late for me," or "people like me don't succeed," then those beliefs will quietly shape your behaviors. You will shrink when you should expand. You will hesitate when you should act. But when you shift those thoughts, when you start thinking, I am capable. This moment is mine. I have what it takes. Then you begin to make choices that align with those truths. You no longer seek validation because your inner voice becomes the authority. Taking responsibility is the cornerstone of all meaningful success. It turns your focus inward toward the only thing you ever truly control, your response to life. And once you master that, once you stop waiting for permission and begin creating from within, you become the architect of your reality. Everything changes not because the world suddenly became easier, but because you became stronger, more intentional, more aligned with what you were always meant to be. There is a popular myth that surrounds success, and it's one that quietly poisons ambition. It whispers that people who make it to the top were simply in the right place at the right time, that they had the right connections, the perfect timing, or a stroke of luck that catapulted them ahead. But if you peel back the layers of any enduring success story, you will find something far more substantial than chance. You will find consistency. You will see someone who chose to show up day after day, long after the initial excitement had worn off. You will see discipline where others relied on motivation, and you will see a long trail of intentional actions that built a foundation so strong, luck became irrelevant. Luck may play a part in certain moments, but it cannot be relied upon to shape a life. It's a fleeting spark, but consistency is the flame that keeps burning. Consistency is what creates rhythm in your progress. It is the steady pulse of effort that transforms small beginnings into massive breakthroughs. When you are consistent, you move from being reactive to being deliberate. You are no longer just responding to life. You are shaping it with every repetition of your effort. It's easy to be motivated when things are going well, when the energy is high, when results are visible, and when the applause is loud. Consistency comes effortlessly. But the real test, the test that defines the difference between a wish and a commitment, comes on the days when no one is watching, when the path ahead looks uncertain, and when self-doubt begins to whisper that maybe this is all for nothing. In those moments, consistency becomes a decision, not a feeling. You get up, you do the work. You keep your promises to yourself, not because it's exciting, but because it's who you've chosen to become. There's something sacred in honoring your efforts, even when there's no immediate reward. The world is caught up in speed, in viral moments, in quick wins, but the soul is built in the slow, patient unfolding of dedication. Every act of consistency is a vote for the future you desire. Every time you return to your vision, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when it feels like nothing is changing, you are sending a powerful messaging that you trust the process more than you fear the unknown. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It means showing up with honesty and humility, willing to improve a little each time. It means embracing repetition, not as a punishment, but as the pathway to mastery. Greatness is not born from a single act of brilliance. It is molded from hundreds, thousands of quiet, unseen efforts that slowly build into excellence. If you ask anyone who's built something meaningful, they'll tell you the same thing. It wasn't the grand gestures that moved the needle. It was the daily commitment to progress. The mind resists routine because it craves novelty, but the spirit grows in structure. When you build consistent habits around your goals, you create a framework for your highest self to emerge. You don't need to wait for inspiration when you have a system. You don't need to rely on momentum when you have integrity. When your actions are aligned with your values day after day, something powerful happens. You begin to believe in yourself, not as a concept, but as a truth. You begin to trust your own capacity to follow through, and that self-trust becomes unshakable. There will always be distractions, easier paths, quicker pleasures, tempting shortcuts, but consistency keeps you anchored. It reminds you why you started. It brings you back to center. It teaches you patience in a world that glorifies urgency, and in doing so, it makes you different. While others burn out chasing instant results, you are building endurance. While others pivot at every difficulty, you are developing resilience. And over time, that quiet persistence compounds. The gap between you and those who gave up widens, not because of luck, but because of loyalty. Loyalty to your vision, to your purpose, to the version of you that refuses to quit. When you embrace consistency, you realize that success is not a mystery to be solved, but a pattern to be practiced. You stop asking, how fast can I get there? And start asking, how deeply can I commit? That shift changes everything. It takes you from chasing moments to creating movements. It transforms goals into legacies. It allows you to outlast your doubts, outgrow your fears, and outwork your excuses. One of the most misleading beliefs many people carry is the idea that purpose is something to be discovered, as it's a buried treasure hidden in some faraway place. waiting for you to stumble upon it one day when the time is right. But purpose is not something you find by accident. It is something you create through conscious living, daily intentions, and the decisions you make in the face of uncertainty. It's not reserved for a select few who are lucky enough to be born with clarity. It's built by those who are willing to listen inwards, to honor what speaks to their soul, and to take action even when they don't yet see the whole path. The truth is, many people wait for clarity before they act. They tell themselves they'll begin when they feel more certain, when the signs are obvious, or when they've uncovered some grand callings. But clarity doesn't come from waiting. It comes from moving. It comes from stepping into life with curiosity, with courage, with openness to learnings. It's in the doing that you begin to understand what resonates, what ignites you, and what drains you. Purpose isn't found in your thoughts alone. It reveals itself through experience, through presence, through engagement with the world. Every day you are creating your purpose, whether you realize it or not. The way you treat others, the effort you put into your craft, the attitude you bring to challenges. These are all brushstrokes in the masterpiece of your life. You don't need a grand mission statement to live with purpose. You just need to be awake to the idea that how you show up matters. Purpose begins when you choose to live deliberately, not by default. It begins when you realize that your time, your energy, and your attention are sacred resources, and what you pour them into shapes who you become. Many people believe that purpose must be tied to a job title, a specific career, or a major breakthrough. But purpose is far deeper than profession. It's a way of being. It's how you contribute to the world through your presence, your values, and your commitment to growth. You can live your purpose as a teacher, a parent, an artist, a friend, or even in solitude as you pursue self-mastery. It is not confined to one path. It flows through every role you step into, so long as you step into it with authenticity and care. When you understand that purpose is created, not found, you stop waiting for permission. You stop chasing someone else's version of meaning and start building your own. You become the sculptor of your life rather than a passive observer. And as you sculpt, you begin to ask different questions. Instead of asking, what am I supposed to do? You begin to ask, what can I give? What do I stand for? What kind of impact do I want to leave behind? These questions open doors that no external achievement ever could, because they root you in something deeper than a goal. They root you in contribution, in love and connection. Creating your purpose also requires that you embrace uncertainty. The path will not be linear. There will be detours, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But each of these is an invitation to refine your direction. When something feels wrong, it's not a sign to give up. It's feedback. It's a nudge toward greater alignment. The process of creating purpose is not about perfection. It's about experimentation. It's about being willing to try to fail and to adjust without losing faith in your ability to grow into life that reflects your deepest truth. Living with purpose also demands presence. You cannot create something meaningful if your mind is always stuck in the past or fixated on the future. Purpose is born in the now. It asks you to show up fully, to bring your heart into this moment, to meet life it is and still choose to bring your best to it. That choice, be awake, to be aware, to be intentional, is the root of a purposeful life. It doesn't require external validation. It requires internal alignment. And perhaps most importantly, purpose is not something you hold on to. It evolves. As you grow, your purpose will shift, deepen, and expand. What was meaningful to you 10 years ago may not feel the same today. And that's not a failure. That's a sign of progress. It means you're alive. It means you're listening. It means you are allowing your life to be a living, breathing expression of who you are becoming. Purpose is not a finish line. It's a lifelong conversation with your soul, a dance between your desires and your responsibilities, a quiet agreement between your heart and your actions. When you choose to live as if your actions matter, because they do, you begin to create a life that reflects your highest values. And from that space, purpose is not a destination to be reached, but a frequency to be embodied every single day. One of the most common barriers to progress is the idea that you must wait for the right time. The perfect moment, the ideal conditions, the flawless alignment of circumstances. This belief quietly delays dreams, dilutes energy, and creates an endless loop of preparation without execution. The truth is, the right time is not something you wait for. It is something you create through action. Waiting becomes a disguised form of fear, fear wrapped in logic, fear masked responsibility, but still fears. When you wait for life to give you permission, you place your destiny on hold. And the tragedy is that most people never even realize they're doing it. Start where you are. This may sound simple, but it carries profound power. Starting where you are means accepting the reality of your present moment without resisting it, without resenting it, and without pretending to be somewhere else. It's acknowledging that while you may not have everything figured out, you have enough within you right now to take the next step. And that next step is always the most important one. It's not about having the full picture. It's about moving forward with what you do know, trusting that clarity will come as you engage with the journey. There will always be reasons to delay. Maybe you think you're not experienced enough, educated enough, wealthy enough, or connected enough. Maybe you believe you need to heal, learn more, or be more confident before you begin. But these thoughts are illusions dressed as wisdom. They convince you that progress must wait until everything is in place. But nothing is ever perfectly in place. The road to success is filled with unknowns, and if you are waiting for a time when doubt, risk, or uncertainty disappear, you will be waiting forever. The beginning is never grand. It is often awkward, clumsy, filled with insecurity, but it is honest. And that honesty is the doorway to everything meaningful. When you start where you are, you give yourself the freedom to evolve. You no longer need to be perfect. You simply need to be present. You begin to build resilience through small wins. You gather confidence not from theory, but from evidence. Every time you show up despite your fear, despite your doubt, you train your mind to believe in your own capacities. Confidence is not something you magically have. It's something you develop by honoring your own effort. And the only way to build that effort is to begin, not next month, not when you feel ready. Now, the myth of the perfect starting point has stolen more dreams than failure ever could. People often believe they must wait for the right time because they're afraid of making mistakes. But mistakes are not the enemy, they are the teachers. Every step you take in the wrong direction reveals a better one. Every misstep is feedback. Every failure is refinement. You learn what works by learning what doesn't. Growth is not linear. It is messy, unpredictable, and often uncomfortable. But it is real, it is alive, and most importantly, it is within your reach at this very moment. Another trap of waiting is comparison. You look at others who seem further along, and instead of being inspired, you become discouraged. You begin to believe that because someone else started earlier, you've missed your chance. But your journey is your own. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be to start becoming who you are meant to become. Comparison distracts you from your own path and places your focus on someone else's timeline. But success is not a race. It is a relationship with yourself, with your values, with the life you are creating. When you release the need for the right time, you reclaim your powers. You begin to see that everything you need to begin is already inside your vision, your willingness, your desire to grow. These are not small things. They are the seeds of transformation. They are the quiet forces that, once activated, begin to shift your reality. And they don't need a perfect plan. They just need a starting point, a decision, a moment when you say, I may not have it all figured out, but I will not stay still. I will not let fear choose for me. I will move. Often the path reveals itself only after the first step is taken. This is how life works. It doesn't hand you the map in advance. It invites you into co-creation. It asks you to trust yourself, to trust the process, and to trust that every moment of sincere action counts. You don't need to have the entire staircase in sight to climb the first step. What matters most is that you take it, not with the guarantee of immediate success, but with the commitment to growth. Starting now, starting here with all your imperfections and doubts is enough. Start where you are, because where you are is not a limitation, it's a launching pad. You have ideas, lessons, wisdom, scars, and a heart that still beats with purpose. You have breath in your lungs and thoughts in your mind. That is not a coincidence. That is a signal, a reminder that life is not waiting to be perfect. It is waiting to be lived, not tomorrow, not someday. Today, success is not a matter of luck, nor is it something reserved for a chosen few. It is a product of inner alignment, daily intention, and unshakable belief in the quiet power of your own efforts. It begins the moment you take full responsibility for your life, when you stop waiting for someone else to hand you the outcome and start becoming the author of your own transformations. It is built not in dramatic moments, but in the quiet repetition of consistency, through the discipline to return again and again to your purpose, even when the world offers no applause. It is shaped by the courage to create meaning through your choices, to live deliberately, to show up in this world with presence and principles. And it takes root the moment you decide that there is no perfect time, only this one right now, which holds all the potential you need to begin. Your success is not waiting for you out there. It's being shaped breath by breath in who you are are willing to become today. Success is not something that arrives at your doorstep. It's something you build brick by brick from the inside out. It begins with the courage in your story to stop blaming circumstances and to take full responsibility for your path. True success unfolds through consistency, showing up every day with purpose, even when progress feels invisible. It's not discovered in a single moment, but created through countless small decisions fueled by belief and clarity. You don't need the perfect timing, perfect plans, or perfect resources. You need to begin now, exactly as you are. Your commitment today is the seed of tomorrow's success. So, if you've been waiting for the right moment, the perfect plan, or a sign to begin, let this be it. The truth is, success isn't handed out to those who wait in comfort. It's earned by those who step forward in faith, who trust the process, and who choose to become the person their dreams require. The power is already within you. The question is not whether you're ready. The question is whether you're willing to begin. Start now. The life you want isn't out of reach. It's waiting on the other side of your decision to rise.